In 1974, a machinist in Dayton, Ohio, retired at 60. He owned his house outright, owned a small rental across the alley, and had $11,000 sitting in a passbook account at the Savings and Loan 3 blocks from his door. He had never earned more than $9,000 in a single year, never owned a credit card, and never spoken to a man who called himself a financial advisor. What he had instead was a set of plain habits, and most of them were quietly engineered out of American life within 10 years of the day he stopped working. We did not lose these habits by accident. Somewhere after 1980, the credit card replaced the passbook, the lease replaced the title, and a culture of owning things quietly became a culture of owing on them. We did not get poorer because we earned less. We got poorer because we traded the machinery that built wealth for the machinery that extracts it, and called the swap progress. Number 27 cut a 30-year mortgage to under 20 years on one ordinary wage, and the bank that wrote the loan never advertised that it was possible. Number 7 contradicts everything a modern advisor will tell you about keeping your money working, and it bought a kind of freedom no investment ever has. And number 2, the quietest habit on this list, is the reason a single-income household in 1975 retired years before a 2-income household today ever will. These 30 habits were not about being cheap. They were about being free, the kind of free that owes no man and answers to no payment. They were the difference between a family that owned its corner of the world and one that rented it back, a little at a time, forever. Hit that subscribe button. Let us count down the 30 money habits Americans lost after 1980 that quietly made them poor. Number 30, the used car, paid in cash, driven 15 years. A new car was the fastest machine ever built for turning wages into nothing, and they refused to ride in it. You bought a car 3 or 4 years old, for a third of its first price, and you drove it until it died. A foreman in Toledo bought a used Olds in 1971 for $900 and drove it 16 years. The money he never handed a dealer went into the second mortgage instead. After 1980, the 7-year car loan made monthly payments the natural state of owning a car. A new car was not a reward. It was a down payment on staying broke. Number 29, the Christmas Club. It looked like a holiday gimmick, and it was the savings habit of a whole country hidden inside a Christmas card. You opened the account in January, put $2 a week into it, and 50 weeks later, you walked out with $100 in cash. A pipefitter's wife in Erie kept hers running for 30 years, and every December her children opened gifts that owed nobody a dime. She made the walk to the bank every Friday with 2 singles folded in her coat pocket, and the teller knew her by name. Then the banks quietly killed it, because the credit card earned them interest and the Christmas Club earned them nothing. It paid no interest, it paid attention. Number 28, the envelope system. Every dollar had a name before it was spent, and the names lived in envelopes on the kitchen table. You divided the paycheck the day it arrived into rent, groceries, gas, church, and insurance. And when an envelope was empty, the spending stopped. A steelworker's wife in Youngstown ran 9 envelopes for 30 years and never carried a balance. Nothing was borrowed from one envelope to fill another. After 1980, the credit card erased the wall between envelopes and let you spend money you had not earned yet. It was not a budget, it was a fence.
Before we go on, I made something special for you. A guide for people like us who still believe the old ways worked best. It's the forgotten money rules that working-class families lived by. the kind that built real wealth on a single income so you never have to live paycheck to paycheck again. But this wisdom is disappearing. And once it's gone for good. It's ready for you right now. Scan the QR code on screen or click the link below. Go ahead, I'll wait right here.
Number 27, the extra principal payment. A 30-year mortgage was never meant to take 30 years, not in their house. You sent one extra principal payment every year, and each dollar skipped the interest and ate the loan from the back. That single habit cut a 30-year note to under 20 and saved a small fortune in interest. A welder in Flint made his last payment at 44 and never owed another soul. The mortgage industry redesigned the loan after 1980 to maximize duration because duration is where the interest lives. He did not manage the debt. He killed it. Number 26, buy less house than the bank offered. The number the bank named was a temptation, not a target. You bought the house you could pay off on one wage, not the one the loan officer approved you for. A teacher in Columbus was approved for $22,000 in 1973 and bought for $15,000. The neighbors thought he was strange for buying smaller than he could. He thought about the years of payments he would never make, and he slept fine. The gap he refused to borrow became the retirement he reached early. The lender always profited from the larger loan. The house you can actually afford is the one that lets you sleep at night. Number 25, the children's passbook. The habit was not left to chance. It was taught by hand before a child could earn. A father walked his 8-year-old into the bank, opened a passbook with 50 cents, and the teller stamped it in ink. That child watched the book grow and never lost the habit of feeding it. A boy who started with coins from a paper route in 1968 retired mortgage-free on a mechanic's salary. After 1980, the school stopped teaching it and the bank stopped wanting them to. What is passed down at a teller's window can still be passed down. Number 24, the coffee can emergency fund. Before any bank thought to sell the idea, the cushion already sat at the back of the cupboard. $3 went into the can every payday, and it was never touched for anything but disaster. When the furnace died in the winter of 1972, a millwright paid from the can and borrowed nothing. The money earned no interest, and that was never the point. After 1980, the home equity line replaced the coffee can and turned every emergency into a lien against the house. The can earned no interest. It earned the right to never beg. Number 23, mend it, don't replace it. A broken thing was a thing to be fixed, not thrown out and bought again. You resoled the boots, patched the leak, rebuilt the carburetor, and darned the work socks at the kitchen table. A machinist in Akron bought a washing machine in 1968 and kept it running 19 years on his own repairs. Goods then were built to be opened and mended, and a handy family saved a small fortune, refusing to replace what a few parts could save. After 1980, sealed cases and cheap imports made fixing a thing feel like a waste of an evening. He did not buy a new one. He kept the old one alive. Number 22, never finance what disappears. He never owed money on a thing that would be gone before the debt was. You borrowed for a house or a business because those remained. You did not borrow for a vacation, a suit, or a holiday dinner. A neighbor in 1976 financed a living room set and paid on it years after the cushions wore through. To owe on a meal already eaten was a kind of quiet madness. This was the exact line the credit card was built to erase. Never let the payment outlive the thing. Number 21, the layaway counter. When he wanted a thing he could not yet pay for, he did not finance it, and he laid it away. The store held the coat or the bicycle in the back, and you paid it down a little each week until it was yours. The day you carried it home, you owed nothing, and you owned everything. A mother in 1975 put a Christmas bicycle on layaway in September and paid the last dollar in December. The boy never knew it had taken 3 months of careful dimes to put it under the tree. After 1980, the store traded the layaway counter for a store credit card. Layaway charged you time. Credit charges you forever. Number 20. The garden and the cellar. Half the family's summer food grew behind the house, and the cellar held next winter before winter came. The garden cut the grocery bill, and the canning carried the family through February. The children weeded on Saturdays and hated it, then planted gardens of their own. A factory family in Indiana grew and canned enough each year to skip the store for months. After 1980, the two-income household had no afternoons left to garden and bought back at retail what the yard once gave for free. It was not a hobby. It was a second income the taxman never saw. Here is what the record actually shows. In 1980, the average American household carried about $900 in credit card debt, adjusted into today's money. Within a single generation, that figure multiplied many times over, while the household savings rate fell from roughly 11% to nearly nothing. The researchers who studied it expected to find that incomes had collapsed. They had not. What collapsed was the habit of keeping the gap between what came in and what went out. Americans did not stop earning. They stopped saving the difference because a system was built after 1980 to make sure the difference never reached the bank. The habits did not fail. They were simply replaced. Number 19. Bank every raise. When the raise finally came, his life did not change by a single dollar. The raise went straight to savings, and he lived exactly as he had the Friday before. A lineman banked every raise of his career and retired owning 2 houses free and clear. His pay nearly tripled across 30 years, and his grocery list never changed once. The world sold every extra dollar with an advertisement for a bigger life, a bigger car, a bigger payment, a bigger you. He declined the sale year after year and kept the money instead. A raise is only a raise if you actually keep it. Number 18, the second trade. He had a job and he had a skill, and the skill paid him after the job went home. He fixed engines in the garage, did taxes at the kitchen table, framed houses on weekends. The wage paid the bills, and the trade filled the savings. A plant worker in 1977 who rebuilt lawnmowers on Saturdays paid cash for a building lot in 3 years. After 1980, the same energy got rebranded and sold back as a subscription to somebody else's dream. One income fed the family, the other freed it. Number 17, the Sunday ledger. Every dollar that came in and went out was written down by hand once a week. You sat at the kitchen table and entered every figure in a spiral notebook. Groceries, the light bill, the church envelope, the gas. A foreman's wife kept the family ledger for 40 years and could tell you what bread cost in 1969. She balanced it every Sunday after church, before supper, and the family knew not to interrupt. What gets measured gets guarded. No app, no advisor, no monthly fee. A pencil and the plain truth. You cannot keep what you never count. Number 16, the money gone before he saw it. The simplest saving he ever did took one signature and no willpower at all. You signed a form at the plant, and each payday a fixed sum came out before the check ever reached your hand. The money was gone before the wanting started. A laborer in 1973 cashed his first savings bond the winter his roof failed and slept dry under a paid-for one. He never once chose to save that money. He had chosen it a single time, years earlier, with a pen. After 1980, automatic deductions got pointed at credit cards and car loans instead of savings. Money you never touch is money you never lose. Number 15, 25% down. Before you signed for a house, you had a quarter of the price sitting in cash. If you did not have it, you did not buy. The rule was not flexible. A couple in 1972 saved 4 years for the down payment and walked into the bank with cash on the table. That cushion meant they could never owe more than the house was worth. By the early 2000s, the average down payment had fallen to single digits, and the market that followed collapsed on schedule. The number was never arbitrary. The number was the wall. Number 14, the home that earned. The house was not only shelter, and it was put to work. They rented the spare room to a student or a young couple just starting out. The boarder's rent covered the taxes and sometimes the whole mortgage payment. A widow in Cleveland took in a lodger in 1970 and paid off her roof with the rent. After 1980, the spare room became a home office or a guest room that earned nothing and cost plenty. A house that only takes money from you is a house only half used. Number 13, the pension left untouched. The men who reached a pension guarded it like scripture. He never touched it, never borrowed against it, never cashed it out for a lump sum. When he changed jobs, he left it sitting and pretended it was not his to spend. The men around him took the buyout and watched it melt inside a year, a boat, a truck, a vacation, and then nothing. After 1980, the pension itself was quietly replaced with a plan you had to fund and manage yourself, and most never did. He met his future self early, with the money still there. The money you guard for your old self is the only gift your old self ever gets. Number 12, cash on the barrelhead. For anything that was not a house, if he could not pay cash, he did not own it yet. You saved for the washing machine, then the television, and counted the money onto the counter. No installment plan, no revolving balance, no minimum payment that never ended. A pressman in 1974 watched a neighbor's furniture repossessed over one missed payment and swore it would never be him. He charged himself nothing and called it patience. What you cannot buy with cash, you cannot yet afford. Here is what almost nobody says out loud. The wealth most American families lost after 1980 was not gambled away on bad luck. It was extracted, deliberately, by an industry that studied human weakness and built products around it. The credit card was engineered to make minimum payments feel painless and balances feel invisible. The car lease was engineered to keep you in a permanent payment. The longer mortgage was engineered to keep the interest flowing for decades. These families did nothing reckless. They simply lived inside a system redesigned to separate them from the gap they used to keep. The habits on this list still work exactly as well as they did in 1975. The world around them changed. The arithmetic never did. Number 11, the account he kept inconvenient. A clerk in 1973 opened a second savings account clear across town, and he did it on purpose. $20 went in by transfer every payday and effectively vanished from his reach. The bank was too far to visit on a whim, and there was no card to rate it with. Out of sight became out of reach, and out of reach quietly became a small fortune. After 1980, the instant transfer app put every saved dollar one tap from being spent. The account was not an investment. It was a fence built where he could not climb it on a Friday night. Number 10, choose the block. They bought into the street where the neighbors pulled the same direction. The men drove old cars, packed lunches, and measured a man by what he owned, not what he showed. On those blocks, the pressure to outspend the people next door simply did not exist. A child who slipped was corrected by 3 porches before he reached his own. After 1980, the television and then the screen replaced the block as the thing you measured yourself against, and the screen always wins. A family becomes the household's nearest it. Pick your block, and you have picked half your future. Number 9. Keep your money where you lived. They banked at the savings and loan down the street, the one that lent those same dollars back out as mortgages to the neighbors. The money you deposited built the block you lived on. A barber kept every dollar at the local thrift for 30 years and watched it finance half the houses on his street. He could point down the block and name the families his savings had quietly helped to move in. After 1980, deregulation and the savings and loan collapse pulled that money into distant institutions that owed the neighborhood nothing. The dollars you deposit are a vote for who gets to borrow. They voted for home. Number 8. Buy in bulk at the low price. The pantry held next winter before winter ever came. You bought the flour, the sugar, the canned goods by the case when the price dropped, and you ate at last year's price all year. A family of 6 in 1975 cut its food bill by 1/3, buying ahead and canning the garden. The full pantry was both a saving and a kind of insurance against a bad month. After 1980, smaller kitchens and longer hours made buying ahead feel quaint. It was not hoarding. It was buying time at yesterday's price. Number 7. 2 months in the bank, always. He kept 2 full months of expenses in cash and never let it fall below the line. It was not for investing and not for emergencies even. It was for sleep. With that cushion, a layoff was a problem, not a catastrophe, and a bad boss could be walked away from. A toolmaker in 1976 quit a job he hated on a Monday because the cushion let him. He had a better job by Thursday, and the 2 months never even ran low. After 1980, that same cushion got renamed an opportunity cost and talked out of people's accounts. 2 months in the bank was not idle money. It was the price of saying no. Number 6. Cook from the kitchen. The family ate at home, and eating at home was a habit, not a hardship. You bought the raw things and made the meal, and the difference between a cooked pot and a bought plate stayed in your pocket. A household in 1974 fed 6 on what one restaurant dinner costs today. The cooking was ordinary, the savings were enormous, and nobody thought of it as discipline. After 1980, the drive-through and the delivery charge turned every busy night into a small withdrawal. It was not deprivation. It was a raise you gave yourself 3 times a day. Number 5. The asset they could not repossess. They poured money into the one thing no bank could foreclose on, a skill or a degree that paid for the rest of a life. The family scrimped and worked doubles to put one child through trade school or college. A pipe fitter's daughter became a nurse in 1975 and lifted the whole family behind her, and her own children grew up taking college for granted. A car can be repossessed, and a house can be lost, but a trade once learned stays in the hands that hold it. After 1980, that same education was financed with debt that outlived the diploma. It was the only property no one could take back. Number 4. Owe no man. That was the rule, the whole rule, not a softened version of it. You did not manage your debt or use credit responsibly. If you could not pay cash, you waited, and you only borrowed for things that built equity. A carpenter in 1973 carried no balance of any kind into his 50s and answered to no lender alive. The rule was brutal. and it was boring, and it built more middle-class security than any product sold since. After 1980, owing became normal, then expected, then engineered into every purchase. Owe no man was not old-fashioned. It was armor. Number 3, spend less than you earn. The most obvious rule ever stated, and the first one a whole country quietly stopped obeying. You looked at what came in, you spent beneath it, and the gap was the wealth. A clerk in 1974, earning a modest wage, retired comfortable on nothing but the gap, kept for 40 years. The amount of the gap mattered less than the fact that it always existed. After 1980, the credit card made it possible to spend more than you earned for years without feeling it. The gap was never glamorous. The gap was the whole game. Number 2, pool it, live on one. When the household earned more than one wage, the extra was building material, not lifestyle. The family lived on the smaller income and banked the rest, no matter how much came in. When the second wage arrived, the spending did not grow to swallow it. A family in 1972 ran 2 incomes through a 1-income budget and bought a second house with the difference. After 1980, 2 incomes became the price of a single ordinary life because the lifestyle expanded to consume them both. They did not earn their way out early. They kept their way out early. Number 1, pay yourself first. The simplest rule on the list, the quietest, the one almost nobody practices now. On every payday, before the rent, before the groceries, before the collection plate, he moved money to the savings side first. Some weeks it was $20, some weeks it was $3. The amount never mattered because the order was everything. He did not save what was left at the end of the month because nothing is ever left at the end of the month. He took his share off the top and built his life around the rest. A family that pays itself even a few dollars a payday, first, without fail, builds more in 30 years than most households see in a lifetime. It was not savings, it was sovereignty. The machinist in Dayton retired at 60 with a paid-off house, a rented unit across the alley, and a passbook he had fed for 40 years. He never earned a large wage. He followed 30 small, boring, unfashionable habits that compounded across a quiet life into something men twice his income never managed to build. None of them required a degree, an advisor, or a single product sold after 1980. They required discipline and patience and the willingness to keep the gap between what he earned and what he spent. These were not the habits of the wealthy. They were the habits of the free, and we did not lose them because they stopped working. We lost them because a system was built to make sure we forgot. Nobody held a meeting to take them from us. They were simply replaced, one product at a time, until a generation grew up never having seen them practiced. The habits have not changed. The arithmetic has not changed. They are still plain, still boring, and still ours to pick back up.